everyone, welcome back to Sunset Valley. So today's kind of an interesting build because this is the Wolf household and this house has a lot of mixed feelings. I should say the Wolf household does because the Sims are pretty interesting. Like they fit right into Sunset Valley. They've got a nice dramatic storyline. For those of you who don't know, Morgana, like she wants to like have babies with her husband and have this beautiful happy family, and her husband's a dick. That's the long story short. And speaking of things that fit into the world, this house fits right into Sunset Valley. And that's not really a good thing, right? It's like that big bulky Sunset Valley modern with the giant octagon hanging off the end. So, you know, typical EA style. So I decided to like edge it out and make it ultra modern. If you remember from like a build or two last week, I started kind of getting into this ultra modern aesthetic, kind of transforming some of the older style houses into that. But this house is already kind of trying to do ultra modern. It's just not doing it very well. Now, granted, this is from the Sims 3 base game, so maybe some of the items and maybe some of the cheats, they didn't necessarily exist at this time. So like, as you can see, like I'm doing things like adding a platform to the roof and kind of like changing the windows up a little bit, just trying to put it more into the style that I think that they were going for. See, the problem with a modern house is that like in your mind, you think, okay, it's a giant white block. And that's not necessarily untrue, but it's a giant white block with lots of little details. So you do have to make a lot of changes to make it work. There's more to making a modern house than just putting black, white, and gray and stuff, right? So like what I'm doing here is just trying to like reshape it and trying to add like little details, because one of my biggest problems with this house is that from the front, it's just so flat, just like big windows and like nothing else. So I'm trying to stick out this like little like wooden detail thing to try and like, you know, kind of add a little bit of dimension to the build. I think with any modern house, just like adding one bump out, two bump out, just kind of like out a little bit and like mixing it around is going to make it a lot more dynamic and a lot more fun to look at and play in. And in fact, I think I go a little bit crazy with the details in this house because like I said, like this house actually took me maybe twice as long as a regular house because technically it is a modern mansion. Even if it's only got 1 or 2 bedrooms, I think this thing ends up having like 5 bathrooms. I didn't add any bathrooms or anything. I just kind of renovated the ones that already existed. And by the time I got to the end, I'm like, why is there so many bathrooms in this thing? But you know what? Whatever. It ended up working out. And you know how I've said before that I like to spend a lot of time on the outside and then I don't like to spend a lot of time on the inside? Well, for this one, I kind of put the effort into both. And I thought, you know what? This is one of people's favorite families and favorite houses. So I really wanted to do it justice because in fact, I checked on my community tab. I was like, who's your queen of Sunset Valley? And I was shocked that you picked Morgana. Like I didn't know people like Morgana. I always like Morgana and I always get her the hell out of here. So I've never renovated this house. Actually, what happens a lot of the time is Morgana ends up being like a lesbian with Holly and then they end up adopting a bunch of babies, which is great because then she doesn't have to live with the evil Thornton, right? Speaking of Thornton, Thornton is Morgana's husband and he's got like the commitment issues and stuff. He's basically Don Lothario, except he's already married Morgana and wants out of it. His priorities are a little bit different. But speaking of priorities, my priorities right now for this build seem to be lighting it. So this is something that I like to do as well. I like to go into night mode and just start to add my exterior lights just to add a little bit more shadow and dimension. This is particularly useful for modern houses because if you've seen me do like a Victorian mansion, like I like to do like the tower and decorations and lots of fencing, lots of foliage, lots of landscaping and like a big pool area and like all sorts of stuff, right? But with a modern mansion, since it is a little bit more of a simple shape, you do have to add a little bit of detail in other ways. So for a Victorian house, I might stick an outside light at the porch and maybe on like the upstairs porch or something, but nothing too crazy. But for this, I decided just to go crazy with it. I decided to put like little lights on the corners of every fence, lights in the pool, lights around the property, lights on the walls. Oh my God, and something I'm doing here, before I forget, I want to talk about this. So this house has one of the worst floor plans in EA history. There was no front door to this build. So like when you start playing, like you go up the steps, like on the front porch there, and there's no door. So instead you have to walk all the way around the pool. Literally, you can't even cut in between the pool because something's stopping it. I'll put a picture on my screen. I was talking about it with people in Discord and I'm like, does anyone know a quicker way to get into this house? And my Sims didn't. So I just decided to add a front door because I just couldn't believe it. And I kind of played with the idea of renovating this entire house, like kind of changing the entire style. But since this style is a big open floor plan, really high ceilings and everything, like that really suits the modern vibe. And that's not something I would necessarily get to on my own. So instead of sectioning it off and breaking it up, I really just stuck with the original floor plan and just tried to make it a little bit better. So like everywhere that there was a bathroom, there's a bathroom now. The staircase is in the same spot. The gym is like on the first floor and like, you know how I feel about exercise. But at the end of the day, this is for Thornton, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to give him this ugly blue gym. Speaking of the colors, I want to talk about this now. I think Morgana's favorite color is blue and Thornton's is navy blue. It might be the other way around, but at the end of the day, I use a lot of dark blues in this house as accents because that's something I would never use. The trick with navy blue, actually think about it like you're getting dressed. And if you don't know this, then let me tell tell you. Navy blue and black do not go together. They don't. It looks like you got dressed in the dark. So to do a modern house with like navy blue and black mixed together was a little bit of a challenge. It works a little bit better in architecture and in interior design, but not for fashion or anything. And in fact, I actually don't really change the Sims in this world. So like for the save file, like I didn't change the Sims in any way. Because I was thinking of getting someone to help me with all the townies, or just letting everyone get to do like one townie or something. So everyone can be like, oh, can we use this version of Morgana? Can we use this version of Thornton or whatever? So I'm very much open to ideas, but there's definitely a lot more builds to get through. So like, I don't really have the time to even think about that stuff yet. So I just want to get you guys thinking about it and think what might be best. Because regardless of how you feel about me, whether you love me or hate me, I don't think I'm the right person to do the create a sim stuff. As much as I love fashion and everything, I'm just not good at the digital way. Like honestly, like I would find it easier to like start with red fabric and paper and a pen and just like pattern out a Bella Goth dress. That would take me less time than it would to kind of like find a good red dress in The Sims 3, to be honest. Okay, now that I'm done rambling, let's just start talking about the build, because things are starting to get a little bit interesting and I'm using a lot of build tricks and cheats. And just before I get into this, let me just mention that I think I'm gonna do my build tutorial video next video. Just a nice educational video about all the tricks I use to make everything work, because The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, you can accomplish a lot of the same things in build mode, but you do it in entirely different ways. In fact, a lot of the stuff that's been added to The Sims 4's build mode is actually from The Sims 3. So like as The Sims 4 kind of like grew older and worse, they were adding like little extra build things to try and trick us into thinking the game was better. You know, like platforms and whatever, so we can make like all those modern houses and stuff, but all this stuff was still possible in The Sims 3. So as you can see here, I was gonna do like a sunken living room, but I thought, why not an elevated living room? And I know it looks weird and blocky in the middle of the house right now, but you'll see later, in first person, this thing is gorgeous. I surprised myself. Like I've never done anything like this style before, so I was just kind of trying out new things and winging it. And that's kind of what I do anyway. Like usually like when I'm building, like I make mistakes until it looks good. So a lot of people will ask like, how did you even think of that? And quite frankly, sometimes it's an accident. Like I'm trying to do something and then I do something else and then I'm like, that doesn't look too bad. So I explore more of that style, right? Speaking of exploring more of the style, I'm adding more like red and black and everything to the living rooms and stuff. You know me, I like to keep some of the interior furniture if possible. I didn't keep a lot of it. I think I deleted most of the kitchen and living room, but I found a few ugly zebra print chairs and stuff, and I thought that's perfectly tacky for a rich person, so I thought it was a really nice idea. And another strategy that I like to use, especially when there's like windows all over the house, at night the house can get really dark, especially when you don't have sectioned off rooms. And the way the physics in The Sims 3 works, and like, quite frankly I think it should work this way, is that like the wider the room, then the less the light is gonna have an effect. So since this house is basically just one big open square, I had to put walls like on the floor, on the tables, on the ceiling, like everywhere, right? And you'll see later, like in first person, it really does help make it look a little bit more alive. A lot of people complain about the graphics of The Sims 3, and I like to say this every few videos just because it's an unpopular opinion. Irregardless, my opinion is that The Sims 3 is actually the best looking Sims game overall. I know why people like The Sims 4, however, I'm not a 12-year-old Sims 4 girly, so I just can't get into a lot of the aesthetic. The colors are not for me, the styles are not for me, it's too like Gen Z for me, you know what I mean? Like, and like there's certain things that are missing in The Sims 4, like a simple basic backyard fence that are just not there. And it's like, you know what, you're building like your 50th suburban house, so like why can't I have a nice fence, right? Whereas if you go in The Sims 3, you find the fence you like and you're like, oh, but it's an ugly color, but that's okay because you have the color wheel. And if you just like put in a little bit of extra effort, you can have a white picket fence, you can have a black picket fence, like you can have whatever you want, even if EA doesn't give you the swatch. So that's like a big part of it. And the other thing is the look of The Sims. Like I don't like The Sims 4 aesthetic. It's too doll-like. Like it's similar to The Sims 2, which I don't mind, just kind of like smoothed out a bit. But in terms of The Sims 3, like these look like real struggling, depressed people. I love their little body language subtleties. I love the shadows on their face. And I like the ugly potato face. Like real life people are not beautiful. Like, have you looked in a magazine? Those are the best we've got. And I'm like, ugh. Oh God, now we're getting to the bathrooms. Okay, so these bathrooms were actually like a little bit of a pain in the butt. So let me just explain here. I love the concept. This was actually one of the best concepts in the whole EA house. So they have like 2 ensuite bathrooms in their bedroom, like one to the left and one to the right. So there's a bathroom for each of them because they are kind of living separately, even though that they're married, because like they're not really in the same amount of love that you'd want them to be. And for these bathrooms, when I was doing those exterior changes and trying to like shape out the house into something more modern, I actually had to cut a tile out of the bathroom. So you can see these bathrooms are mostly like 2x5 or something. So they're kind of long and skinny, and they used to be 3x5. So there was a lot more room to do things. So for those of you who remember, like in the last couple builds, I've been doing like platform tubs and like fun, funky walk-in showers and everything. None of that's happening in these en-suites. There just wasn't enough room. Oh my God, there is a platform. I forgot about that. Okay, I lied. I put in one little platform and I barely had the space to do that. And I just did it because I thought, you know what? Morgana deserves a platform tub. I gave Thornton the showers. That way he can shower quick and go to work and make the money. And then that way Morgana can run off with it. Speaking of running off with it, we're actually on the final bedroom, and I'm quite sure that this is the last thing I did. And looking at the time left on my speed build, it absolutely is. So before I run out of footage, why don't we just jump into the build and see what we've got? I'm excited. I haven't seen this one for a bit. See you there. And welcome to my rendition of Lone Wolf Manor. We're up so close so that way the camera doesn't go too fast, but my goodness, look at this thing. I'm actually really happy with it because I really don't like this house. Like the default EA one, like it has that big ugly octagon on the corner. It's not even symmetrical. And then like the rest of it is just like a little bit too weird. It's like a mix of like ultra modern and like super classic. The Sims 3 does a lot of this because a lot of the items are more suited to a more like Victorian style, like very detailed wooden furniture and like iron gates and stuff, right? But if you know what you're doing with platforms and posts and like lots of rectangles, you can kind of turn it into this. Anyway, I'm just rambling, kind of going around the outside because I don't really want to walk around the property line because the outside is pretty much the same other than the house. I didn't change any landscaping. I didn't really change this fountain detail either. I thought they did a really good job on that stuff, which is really typical of EA, right? Okay, let's just go inside because I really want to see these rooms in first person. Because honestly, from top down view, like the upstairs looks a little bit weird to me, but I think it might come together this way. So coming in the front door, I still kept the gym downstairs. I definitely changed the color scheme up a little bit. They had used this navy blue quite a bit, and in fact, both Morgana and Thornton both like blue. One likes blue, one likes navy blue, so I thought, why not go all out? But yeah, coming into the bathroom, I really like the double shower situation because it makes it feel more like a community lot and a little bit less homey. Because of course, Morgana shouldn't feel at home because she's with a man who doesn't love her. Oh God. Yeah, double sinks too. Okay, let's just go upstairs. Let's just turn around and see what it looks like. Oh, I love it. Oh my God, I'm so happy. See, because like when you're top down, it looks like so busy and there's like stairs kind of popping out all over the place. But like when you come down, like everything's kind of hidden in certain corners. So you can't really see them all at once. But I really do like how the living area is up here on the platform. I kind of wanted to do like a sunken living room, but it wasn't really gonna work. So I thought, why not just try an elevated one? And in fact, one of the details I'm noticing here with the dining area is that I really wanted a ceiling light, but the ceiling was too high, so the light wasn't gonna reach it. So I just put this big post down, and like that really kept it modern too. And same with the kitchen, it was kind of out in the open, so I just kind of added this little bit of an overhang. Stuck a little bit of a wall detail, a half wall detail. I don't know, I was just trying a bunch of new things. You gotta let me know what you think in the comments. The kitchen is very black and white and basic. I didn't do too much color in this house. In fact, I took a lot of color away, and I thought the bright orange wood floor was gonna be color enough. Again, with all the navy blue accents, right? Okay, so let's just go up to the top of the stairs here and check out the study. Again, I kept the blue wall here. I just figured that blue and orange kind of go together, right? So I thought, well, EA does it, so why can't I? And as we can see, I'm totally losing control of the camera, but let's just scooch into this little half bath just to check it out. Probably the worst of the 4. Let's just go into the study. See, again, like with the study details, I do the 2 desks kind of facing away, so that way, like they're not really spending time together, even if they're at home together. I usually like Morgana to leave Thornton, but I think he's gonna leave her sometimes too, right? So I just like to keep them separate. Going up to the top of the stairs, I kept a few of the zebra print details because I thought it was really tacky. Tacky in a good way, right? Because these guys seem like they could be like new money, like investment banker money. I don't care what any lore says, Thornton's up to no good. My goodness, the furniture keeps disappearing because I put too many levels on this thing. It works when you're actually playing the game. You can always see everything. Okay, so going into like the master bedroom, and in fact, the only bedroom, I kept it really kind of big, empty, and sterile. I almost made it white, but I thought, you know what, this is gonna be a little bit better. Oh no, I forgot to paint one of the walls. That's okay, I'll fix it in a minute before I upload it. Okay, so I still kept like the double bathroom idea here, but I definitely washed them out. So one thing I did keep too was like the 2 separate bathrooms in the master bedroom. I love the idea of them having separate bathrooms, just like the showers downstairs. Oh God, and I forgot to put this towel back in the bathroom too. When I was resizing everything, I had to move like the hand towels and the toilets and stuff over to other walls. For Thornton, I just put like a simple shower and like a tub and sink combo, like nothing crazy. And then into Morgana's, I kind of kept like the makeup and the tissue box and stuff. Lately, I've been using tissue boxes for like more nefarious reasons, right? But this time it's for Morgana, so it's nice. And in fact, a lot of those details were still here, I just kind of made the bathroom nicer, but I like to keep the details. And I think like all this stuff was on the original counter. It was just the counters were ugly. And of course, you know me, I couldn't get through a build without doing a little tiny bit of a platform bath. I didn't have room in any other bathroom to do anything crazy, but you know what? This one's fine. Oh, and I just realized there's actually 5 bathrooms in this house because there's one underneath the stairs that I forgot to check out earlier. Oh, well, you know mansions, right? Okay, I just want to end off kind of on the balcony. So on their main balcony, like I call it the main one, but it's more of just their biggest one. You can look over and see far away, like we've done like most of these builds so far, and we can actually see the other ultra modern one in the distance. The Frio Brothers one, the one that I just did, right? But the other good thing is that on the other balcony here, I'm not gonna go through the house, but you get to look out over the ocean. You got the palm trees, the rocks, the ocean, and everything. So like it's so romantic. It's just so tragic. It's for Thornton, right? Because like he's never gonna get it. Poor Morgana, am I right? But yeah, what did you guys think? Do you like this style? I'm getting really into the ultra modern style. I think it really suits a world like Sunset Valley because these houses go really well in like coastal areas and stuff. Like you get lots of nice balconies and stuff. And like if you're on the beach, you want like a nice house in the background. And Sunset Valley is so heavy on the mid-century style that I really wanted to kind of edge it out a little bit. But there's still those classic Victorian ones that we still have left that I'm gonna have fun with. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe for some more Sims content. Honestly, this house was tiring. I built this house today. It's about like 1 p.m. and I'm kind of like finishing off my filming. And I started this at like 5, so this kind of took all day. But you know what? I'm pretty pleased with the result. And this was another one of those houses where it's like you have to trust my process. Like I'm gonna make it look uglier and uglier until I finally get it together. And I'm glad it finally did come together. My goodness, for a while there, I wasn't even sure. But yeah, like even here, the views are good. Like imagine being in your pool and like leaning over the cliff, right? That sounds fun. Anyway, that's enough of that. And it's starting to rain. So Deathany and I will see you in the next one. Boom.